Hi, Kevin Ledoux, the Pragmatic Luther, back again after a pretty long period of silence. I've been real busy in the shop, and today I want to offer you not so much instructional video as just something of interest to builders. And that is, uh, although I hate this phrase, alternate materials, I have some tops that I guess, would have to consider alternate materials. And I just thought I would do a comparison of these so that maybe it would encourage you to use some different materials other than the standards that we so often select. So I have 5 tops here, and I'm going to show you those in a second, and then I'll do another short segment where I'll tap on them and describe what I'm hearing. And from there, maybe you can get something out of this, and maybe it'll motivate you to think about not buying always the sirloin steak of spruce, so to speak. Just a quick sidebar before I continue with the presentation. Several people have commented on videos that I've done in the past, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's nice when people make comments and others engage in debate and discussion about some of the things that I present. So I want to encourage you to do that by all means. So I'm starting out with a Sitka spruce top. And I'm starting with that as a point of departure because so many people know and understand predominantly what they're going to get in a spruce top. You know what you hear because you may be familiar with it. You've heard it before. Now, this is a lower grade spruce top. Some of you who are familiar with my work and my philosophy and have seen some of my videos know that I am I'm not opposed to buying the best quality materials that money can buy, but I frequently try to remind people that the grade of a top does not equate with its musicality. So this is this is a lower grade top. Um, Here's something interesting. This is a 4-piece top. You can see these wings over here are a little darker. It was necessary to use 4 pieces to make this top up. And you'll notice that nice toasty brown. Some of you are going to say, oh, that must be Western red cedar. Au contraire. This happens to be Eastern hemlock. It was a piece of barn siding, and I acquired this quite a long time ago, but I know that this piece of material is 140 years old minimum. It may be older, we're not absolutely positive, but I decided to make up an instrument out of this. And so, and I think this is going to be quite nice. Here's something really different. Now, this is a butternut top. Uh, this is going to be a bass guitar. The other tops that I'm showing you are all going to be the same model and a smaller 6-string instrument. But this is going to be a bass guitar for a customer who actually owned this tree. It fell over in his yard several years ago, and I gleaned the material out of it, had it sawn and dried and so on, and we're ready to build in it. So this is a little bit different. And I think Butternut was a good choice for a bass guitar, and I'm hoping that when you hear me rap on it later, you'll know why. Uh, Here is a white pine top. Again, it's 4-piece. It's matched here in the center, but you may see that right here, it kind of arrow points together. That's the other seam in it. This is material that I acquired not all that long ago. I bought this log last April and had it sawn and kiln dried. It's a little early to build in it, but this is an experiment for my own purposes. This material is not ready to be turned out as an instrument for a customer by any means. And this particular piece, as you can see, while I enjoy it aesthetically, I'm sure some of the cork sniffers are out there cringing at this, but wait till you hear it. And here we have maybe the biggest surprise of all to some, Douglas fir. Now, I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube about, oh, what a great secret this is, and why didn't they tell us about this before? Well, I don't know where some of you folks have been, but I built my first Douglas Fir top guitar, I think 29 years ago, so it's nothing new to me. So we're going to go through and I'm going to tap each one of these and describe what I'm hearing and describe to you what I feel that I should do with each one of these to maximize its potential. So I'm going to start with this spruce top because, as I mentioned, this is, shall we say, a known point of departure. Um, this is a two-piece top, of course, and I should probably mention that all of these guitars are going to be approximately a 15-inch wide instrument, and the body is going to be 20 inches long. Sort of, I'll refer to it as a grand concert model. So I'm going to tap on this, and I'm wearing a lapel mic right here. I'm going to hold up close to it. It's a cheap mic, but I hope you can get enough of a sense of what we have here so that this video is actually worthwhile. So as I tap, what I'm hearing in this is predominantly a low frequency, and this top is right now 117 thousandths of an inch thick. And I'm hearing a low frequency, and I'm hearing what I'll call reasonable sustain. It decays rather quickly, but I think the top has good potential. In order to bring up trebles in this, keep those going, I've brought my X a little bit closer together than I usually do, and I've turned up my lower tone bars at an angle that approaches, that comes toward 90 degrees. They're not tilted down all that far. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, here is the Hemlock. Now this is admittedly a little different, and this is only the, I think, third, maybe fourth Hemlock top I've done. Eastern Hemlock has a tendency to be shook. For those of you not familiar, that means a mature tree, from bending in the wind and thawing and freezing, it'll actually crack while it's standing along its own growth rings. And when you saw it, you get that shake in it. So when you reduce it to thin material and stuff for instrument tops, quite often it can fail on you. So I'm not promoting this as the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it has tremendous potential. It can produce really nice sound. So as I tap on this, what I'm hearing here is a lot of low frequency, and I'm really hearing the top literally just kind of flop and flutter, almost like it's a sheet or a very loosely stretched, like one of those kids' rubber drum heads. But I am hearing in here, above that low frequency, I'm hearing some overtones, and sustain is admittedly short. As I move around looking for other nodal points, it stays pretty consistent in that regard. So I wouldn't call this a super piece of wood tonally, not from my experience anyway, but my attitude is, and especially because these are my instruments, these are not sold to anyone. This is an experiment that needs doing just because the top is so old. This wood is just very, very old. And I guess I should mention, by the way, this one, I'm going to treat the top bracing wise. I'm going to treat this about the same way that I did that spruce. It's hard to tell what we're going to get out of this, but I think we're going to recoup some nice sound out of this. I'm not expecting a great deal of shimmer in the high end, but I think we'll get good balance and reasonable sustain out of the finished guitar. Now, this is a little bit off track because this is the acoustic bass that I mentioned. So this is a 17.5-inch guitar. The body is 20 inches long, so it's a bigger diaphragm. And this is butternut, and it's flat sawn butternut at that. The interesting thing about this top and back is the top and back both came from the same billet. So the top and the back, besides being book matched, they match each other. Just kind of an interesting feature. But when I rap on this, I get a good rumble that I want to hear from it, I suppose. But I'm getting a surprising amount of sustain, and I think that's pretty good because this is a hardwood. Technically, it's a hardwood, and butternut. I don't know its density right offhand, but from my experience, it's not a whole lot much more dense than pine. Maybe a little bit more dense. So you don't know what to expect, but it delivers, I think, a good characteristic rumble that there I'm getting nice, better sustain there and a nice low frequency. So with this one, I'm going to open up the X brace at a much wider angle. I'm going to make sure I catch that bridge, of course, but I've opened this up at a wider angle, and the tone bars in this are going to be tilted downward so that we're not stiffening the top overly. Now my next one is the one that I said probably would make some of the cork sniffers cringe a little bit. And I hope that wasn't too much of an insult to anybody. I don't intend to be insulting. Um, but this one, I hope you can hear this because I'm not getting a lot of real high frequency out of this. I am getting some overtones, but I'm getting a nice rumble and a mixture of tone. And I'm getting a very nice amount of sustain. This top is presently 115 thousandths of an inch thick. So it's at finished thickness. That is finished with respect to building. That's quite a nice top. And it is my contention that Eastern white pine, and I'm sure Western white if you happen to have it, and maybe some of the other species of pine. I have no experience with other species of pine other than Eastern white, although I did do a sugar pine top many years ago out of 9 pieces. Um, I will admit that one was probably not too desirable. But I contend the white pine can be a first class tone wood. And it can be had in much more consistent color and grain pattern than this if you search for it. But I'm also a progenitor, as you may know, of this is what the wood presents to you. If it produces good sound and if you like the aesthetics that it presents, as long as the structural integrity is there and if it delivers the tone that you want, then you should consider using it. Now, lastly, and this one is kind of a surprise, I think, to many. I hope it is to many. This top right now is thick, so it's going to rep a pretty high report right now. The pitch is going to be up there quite a bit. We're probably at 150, maybe 160 thousandths of an inch thick. And this is, as I said, Douglas fir. It's nice straight grain. And this is a sawn top. The spruce was a split top. The hemlock is clearly a sawn top. The butternut is sawn. The white pine is sawn also. And so is this Douglas fir because I don't get this from a Luther supply by any means. I don't know if anybody in the Luthery business supplies Douglas fir. But this top has got not just a high ring to it, but it's got a bell-like quality. And it has sustain. You can hear that sustain out there from where I am. I can hear that sustain for probably a couple of seconds. I can't really say enough good things about Douglas fir. Some probably wouldn't like it at all, but I think this stuff has wonderful potential, and I've done many guitars with it, so I've got some experience that kind of guides me along, helps me understand what to do. Now, there's no rosette set in this, so no bracing pattern is laid out. But I can tell right now with this top, I'm gonna brace this up a little bit loose because it's already got a nice high frequency report. So I'm gonna loosen it up a little bit, and as I voice it out, we'll see if that theory bears out. So there you have it. A few different tops, a little different than you'll find at the Luther supply stores, and a little different than many of you may build in. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope you got something out of it, especially newer builders or builders that haven't done too many, or even if you're a pretty experienced Luther and you're kind of wondering what else might you try one of these days. Maybe you got something out of this. I hope you'll put a like on the video, and I hope you might subscribe to my channel. Once again, if you're new to the Pragmatic Luther and Ledoux guitars, I don't monetize my videos, and I don't intend to. I do this for my enjoyment. I'm a retired shop teacher, and I've been building these things for 30 years. And I just do this because it's a lot of fun, and I like to share what I do. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you get some good stuff out of this. See you next time.